promised breaking news on Klay Thompson before the break. Back on SportsCenter. Woj, what are you hearing?
Jay, Klay Thompson is on his way to the Dallas Mavericks, I'm told. A 3-year, $50 million deal that'll include a player option. It's a sign and trade with the Warriors, with Charlotte. And Klay Thompson's 13-year career in Golden State, 4 championships, is now over. He really went down to the wire with Dallas, the Lakers. The Lakers are extremely intriguing to Klay Thompson. His dad played there. He lives in LA in the offseason. But this Dallas team with Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving coming off the NBA Finals, a chance to win his 5th NBA championship. And then financially, even though there was an opportunity at 4-year deals, maybe some more money, I think just the state taxes in Texas, the ability to financially benefit from living there, that played a part. But playing with Doncic, playing with Kyrie Irving, Dallas was really aggressive in trying to bring him in. So were the Lakers. But Klay Thompson, 3 years, $50 million, and that great Warriors dynasty now is minus one of its real historic players.
Let's stay on that topic. So what now with the Warriors with Klay gone?
Well, they'll do this sign and trade, and Klay Thompson's agent, Greg Lawrence, is finishing that with the teams. They'll get back essentially a trade exception from Dallas. Listen, they've been trying to be aggressive in other places in Golden State. One player that a number of teams have tried to target, Lauri Markkanen of the Utah Jazz. Utah's not sure it wants to trade him, but they have to listen. They've been listening. And a lot of the teams who lost out on Mikal Bridges from Brooklyn have transferred over to trying to see if they can land Lauri Markkanen out of Utah. Golden State is one of those teams.
Okay, you talked earlier about the Lakers, LeBron maybe taking a discount to bring in some veterans, making the call to Klay, so the Lakers lose out on Klay. What now for the Lakers?
Well, you look at the 3 players at the mid-level exception the Lakers hoped they could get: James Harden, Jonas Valanciunas, and Klay Thompson. They're all gone. They're all off the board right now. And so for the Lakers, I think ultimately LeBron James probably takes that full max because the kind of impact player they hope they could get is not available to them.
Okay, Adrian Wojnarowski with the latest. Klay Thompson to the Dallas Mavericks. I'm going to let you go so you can answer your phone. So maybe some more breaking news. We might see you back here.
That Klay Thompson plans to have discussions with the Mavericks, the Lakers, the Clippers, and the 76ers in these opening hours of free agency. Those opening hours are now underway as we welcome in our reporter covering the Warriors, Kendra Andrews. Kendra, so as we reported, the likelihood of Klay returning to the Warriors, it seems to be slimmer and slimmer by the second as talks have devolved between these two camps. And yet, Klay's impending departure, it still feels shocking in many ways for this Splash Brother duo. How did we get to this point?
Yeah, we have to flip back pretty much a whole calendar year, really to last summer when the Warriors and Klay could have first come to a new agreement and gotten him a new deal and avoided this entire situation, but it didn't happen. And I'm told the way that last summer played out left a sour taste in Klay's mouth. The thing that has been repeated to me over and over and over again by so many different people is Klay wants to feel respected. He wants to feel appreciated. He wants to feel valued. And how last summer went down, he didn't feel that way. So he enters the year already a little bit unhappy. He starts the year off playing poorly. He eventually gets moved to the bench. His role for the rest of the season is bopping all around. Meanwhile, the contract negotiations, nothing moved from the summer. All the while, Malika, he had a hard time adjusting to his game and his body after those 2 really difficult injuries a couple years ago. So he's dealing with all of this in his head. Meanwhile, he isn't getting that respect, again, that appreciation, that reassurance from people high up in the organization. And that really, really caused a splinter between him and important people in the Warriors. And now look, could the Warriors have maybe eventually put an offer down in front of Klay? Yes, but I was told earlier this month that by the time they do it, and the Warriors, by the way, have a history of taking some time before coming up with big deals, like with Steve Kerr, like with Draymond Green. It could take some time, but the question was, by the time the Warriors offered Klay something, would it have been too late? Would he have already detached himself mentally from coming back from the Warriors? And that's pretty much what we've seen play out here these last few weeks.
Kendra, thank you so very much. That really gave us a clear and full picture of how things have devolved here between Golden State and Klay Thompson, as Kendra mentioned, really dating back to a year ago. So, Ramona, we're hearing about Dallas now. We're hearing about the Lakers, the Clippers, several other teams. What does this look like now for Klay Thompson as he pursues these avenues?
Well, I think he's obviously going to take a lot less money. I mean, he made $43 million last year. Now we're talking about something, a mid-level exception is 13. That's $30 million less.
Yep.
That's a lot less money. Now, if they can work out a sign-and trade, each of these teams can come up with different amounts of money. The Sixers obviously have the most amount of cap space available, but Paul George is their primary target, and so that's earmarked for him if he were to make that choice.
Right.
But Dallas has more right now. Dallas has a $16 million trade exception that they created in the Tim Hardaway deal, and that could be a sign-and trade. They can even create more for Klay and get him up near 20. The Lakers can create more by doing several of the trades we discussed earlier. And so it's a question of, do you want to, if you're already going to be taking a lot less, do you want to pick the destination you want to go to, or do you want just a little bit more money? How much money is he going to leave on the table to go to where he wants to go? And I think it's a fascinating situation. Klay Thompson on the Lakers? Klay Thompson on the Mavs?
I mean,
Wow.
it's wild.
I mean, he would look real nice next to Luka Doncic.
Klay Thompson anywhere but the Warriors is wild.
Klay Thompson happy, right?
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I'm not counting his pockets, but Klay looked like a.
Oh, he was miserable
man
last year.
He was,
he's
but he
miserable.
also
He was miserable.
And
Except on the 1st and 15th of every month.
that's what I'm saying. But we all know that as a player, you know this, Richard. If your mind is not right, you're not going to perform at your best, and we're seeing that. The fact that he's taking, so I got a question for the panel. He's taking a meeting with the 76ers. So, am I getting this right? So the 76ers could possibly get PG and Klay Thompson?
Yeah.
That is financially feasible. They have
Yep.
enough cap space to do it. Let's pause for a second. Let's pause
you're right.
for a second. We go real fast on these shows. There's a lot of transactions coming in.
Yep.
This is the end of something magical in basketball. Like, this was a dynastic team, and this guy, from the threes in Oklahoma City to the threes against Toronto to coming out with a busted ACL to shoot the free throws to the loudest ovation I heard in that arena ever. This is the end of something, and we need to take a moment to appreciate it. We also need to take a moment to ask, wait a second, hold on here. Same with the Clippers if Paul George leaves.
Yeah.
What's plan B here for this team that has one of the 10 to 12 greatest players of all time still playing at an all-NBA level? They just waived Chris Paul. That salary slot's gone. They might lose an all-time great Warrior, all-time great player for nothing. That player would be gone. They don't have a ton of financial flexibility. It's not like they opened up $40 million in cap space. If this team wants to win right now at a decently high level, what direction are they going to go in? We saw them sniff around Paul George. I expect them to be creative and aggressive, but doors are closing, as Wendy said, and they might be grasping at straws in the next 72 hours.
We're talking about a trio that won 518 games together, regular season to playoffs. That's the 6th most by a trio all time. A trio that won 4 championships together. And when you were talking about breaking that up, someone who is going to have a statue outside of Chase Center at some point, you have to do that on the sole mission of maximizing the end of Steph Curry's career. And so there has to be something that right now I am missing as these transactions are just now starting to percolate and pour in, that they believe is going to achieve that more than what they have in front of them.
It always started and will end with Steph Curry.
Yep.
This dynasty is built on number 30's back. And I think that, as much as it was the Splash Brothers, and I think that the Warriors did make a good faith effort to keep them together, you could feel this coming. I mean, Perk, I've heard you say this all year long, and this is one of those ones you turned out to be right. Okay, but you could feel it the last game of the year. The last game of the year, he was going around like taking it in from the Chase Center.
Yeah.
He went around the locker room and was asking if anyone wanted to ride on his boat home after the game, and Chris Paul and Moses Moody went with him. I mean, you could feel him know that this is
moment,
probably
right?
it.
In Sacramento when he's looking around.
He can just feel it. And everyone said we want him back. Everyone said how important he is to them. But this has been coming, and now it is finally here. And Zach's right. We should take a minute to talk about Klay Thompson and his legacy. Coming back from those 2 major leg injuries, just an unbelievable warrior, okay?
He ain't signed nowhere yet. There's still hope.
No, it's not. But look,
I don't know.
While we're taking a moment to recognize the whole legacy and, arguably the best shooting backcourt in the history of basketball, get all that. But where's Steph Curry and Draymond Green at this moment?
Listen.
Like, What? No, seriously. What are they doing behind the scenes? Because it's obvious that they're not sitting up here fighting to keep Klay. Because if they were,
We don't know that.
We don't know that.
How?
Just because people aren't tweeting and talking.
It ain't about tweeting and talking.
What do you think?
So
what do you
mean?
say?
Hold on, time out. So you're telling me that if Steph Curry walks into Mike Dunleavy's office or calls Joe Lacob and said, "I don't care what you got to do, make sure Klay is here by the start of next season," it don't get done?
Apparently not.
I think
would
you're
say
right,
no.
Perk. I think you're right, but I also think those two guys want Klay to be happy.
I also think that's
Right?
generally a lose-lose for players, right?
Yeah.
If you go and you exercise your will and it doesn't work out, well, then it's your fault. Or you're meddling in the front office's business.
That's been franchise. That's
I
what
understand.
franchise
I
players do,
understand.
Zach.
I understand that.
They go snooping around. They supposed to get in that business, especially a guy like Steph Curry.
Well-
we talk about Klay Thompson frustration. We saw frustration from Steph Curry, right? A guy that was going out there still producing at a high level, but felt like he wasn't getting the same production from the personnel around him.
Well, and look, say what you want about Klay's performance. There was also another person that was dealing with some things inside of that organization that got their extension finished. So when I look at the Golden State Warriors' ability to keep their guys, to look over some things and make sure everything is smoothed out. But you're right. Steph's got to speak up. But I believe that Steph has spoken up because he's seen on the other side what it looks like without Klay. I believe that Steph isn't just sitting back waiting for a Woj tweet.
Well, I think that also you have to imagine that these conversations have happened and that there's been some sort of agreement as to what Richard Jefferson, Kendrick Perkins, we're going to have a whole bunch of reporters joining us as well. How are we feeling now that we're less than 30 minutes away from free agency beginning?
I'm waiting for something to happen.
There's been things happening.
There's a lot of stuff
Literally the last couple of days.
So impatient.
What's been happening?
So impatient.
What's happening? Yeah, we know this. Let's not wait any longer. Yeah, it really was. Let's welcome in, though, the busiest man in the business, our senior insider, Adrian Wojnarowski. Woj, we reported that LeBron James has opted out of his contract and became a free agent for the first time, essentially, since 2018. What exactly does this mean?
Well, it means, number one, that LeBron James plans to return to the Lakers. But the question is, what kind of a contract does he do moving forward? And what LeBron James has told the Lakers, according to our Dave Mitteman, who talked to Rich Paul about this, is essentially if the Lakers have a chance to get at maybe a couple of the impact players that are available in free agency with their mid-level exception, that LeBron James is willing to take less money on this deal, and it would be significantly less money, maybe upwards of $20 million, so that the Lakers could have their full mid-level exception. And that's why the Lakers are preparing pursuits now of Klay Thompson, Jonas Valanciunas, the center from New Orleans, who's another player in this free agency class who's a veteran who is accomplished. There's not a lot of them. And so for the Lakers, that is going to move fast in free agency. That those are players that I think ultimately are going to move off the board maybe as soon as the first night. So I think the Lakers, the rest of the league, will have some clarity on what that looks like. And if the Lakers can't land one of those players using that $13 million mid-level exception, then ultimately LeBron James takes his full max, which on a 3-year deal would be 3 years, $160 million plus.
And as Woj just said, we expect this to begin to move rather quickly here. Woj, please do not go too far, but I know you're a busy man. We'll let you get back to it. Perk, if LeBron does take a pay cut, which he has offered to do, according to our reporting, who should be the priority that they are targeting here? We're hearing Klay Thompson. We're hearing Jonas Valanciunas. Who do you have your eye on?
I like Klay. I love Klay for the Lakers. I mean, you think about it, right? When you think about AD and Bron, you need to surround them with shooters, right? Klay Thompson is at the stage of his career. It's not even about the two-way Klay Thompson that we seen when he was in his prime with Golden State. It's about catch and shoot Klay Thompson, getting the ball on time, on target, and what he would bring to the table for the Los Angeles Lakers, especially under their new coach in J.J. Redick, who I heard on plenty of occasions when he was, calling games, talking about the Laker roster and that they need more shooting. So I'm looking at Klay Thompson and the Los Angeles Lakers. To me, it's a perfect match.
So if LeBron takes a pay cut, but I need you guys to help me out here. Klay would most likely be taking a pay cut, right, to take the full middle-level exception.
Yep.
Jonas Valanciunas would be most likely taking a pay cut.
Small.
Much smaller than Klay.
Right.
So that's the thing. I think both of those players who, look, the Lakers would be winning if they got either of those players, especially at that price. But I think both of those would have to want to play for the Lakers at less than their market value, right? So I get what LeBron's doing, but it's also about what are these players going to want, especially for a Klay. This is most likely your last contract. Are you really going to just sign a mid-level exception and then go to the Lakers when there's probably more money to be had other places?
So here's the interesting thing. Woj just reported the Lakers have agreed to a 4-year, $32 million deal with Max Christie. That's $8 more million or $7 more million, whatever it is, below the hard cap first apron before LeBron decides how much he's going to make. So they're running out of wiggle room to open up that big mid-level exception that we're talking about for guys like Klay and Jonas Valanciunas. So what does that mean for D'Angelo Russell, who just opted in his contract? Can you have D'Lo, Reeves, and Klay Thompson all in a theoretical starting lineup? What's happening here, what I think is most interesting, is between this thing we're talking about, between drafting Dalton Connect and having it be a big win for them, it seems like the Lakers are moving on from the idea of getting a third star, using their picks and all that to get a third star, and building around depth, long-term sustainability around LeBron and AD, which is kind of not what we had heard they were going to try to do 2-3 months ago, and I think that's probably smart. And the last thing is, you mentioned Klay and shooting. Just as a resource allocation thing, I'm not using my biggest chip on a center. I love Jonas Valanciunas, but AD's got to play center when the chips are down.
So
I'm going to make this very simple. The Lakers cannot afford Klay Thompson right now. The only way it's going to work is if they make another trade to offload salary. LeBron James is not taking a $35 million pay cut. He will take a pay cut. He's not coming down to a massive amount of money. So they need to make another trade in the interim before Klay Thompson makes up his mind, probably with D'Angelo Russell.
That's why I mentioned
other options, probably. And if you look at the teams that are trying to get Klay before the Lakers do, one of them is the Dallas Mavericks.
Yep.
The Dallas Mavericks have already made their trade to reduce their salary. They have made Tim Hardaway trade with Detroit. They are ahead of the Lakers. The Lakers right now have to do something else before they can honestly make an offer for Klay. The other team I would watch for is the LA Clippers. This is Klay's hometown here in LA. If the Clippers lose Paul George, they would have some flexibility to make an offer for Klay Thompson. But don't sit there and assume that Klay's going to sign with the Lakers here at 6:01 Eastern. The Lakers got to do another deal first.
I'm willing to bet my left big toe that LeBron James is
But not your right one?
Not my left one. That LeBron James is not taking a pay cut or considering taking a pay cut for the Lakers' future. It's for the now. LeBron James wants to win right now. LeBron James knows the pressure that he has, right? And I don't want to take it out of context, but to the fact of we can all speculate, but J.J. Redick was a LeBron James hire. We know this, right? And so he wants J.J. to be successful. How can J.J. be successful? By LeBron James being the best version of himself, but also making sure that the pieces match up. That's why he want to take a pay cut. It's not for the Lakers' future. It's because LeBron won another shot at it. And to be honest with you, they wasn't that far off from last year when you think about it. It's only one team that the Lakers wasn't beating in the playoffs. That was the Denver Nuggets. Any other team, I feel like they could have beat Minnesota. They could have beat Oklahoma City. They could have beat the Dallas Mavericks in the 7-game series. I mean, so they wasn't far off, but, I feel like he's considered taking a pay cut to get a third star kind of player.
Well, it depends what you define as a star, right? I don't think Klay Thompson is a quote-unquote star at this point in his career. But look, Perk, first of all, I don't want any of your toes. Don't bet any of your toes. I don't want any of them. Second of all, there's no question LeBron is doing this to win today, to win now. He does not care that much about the Lakers' future. And as a Perk, the Lakers aren't far off. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. You just coulda, woulda, shoulda. They won one playoff game. You got to win 12 just to get out of the West, man. There's a difference between being competitive against Denver and not being afraid of Dallas, Minnesota, Oklahoma City, who's, by the way, loading up and has cap space to spend, and beating 3 of those teams
but
4 times. They were far. Just say it. They were far.
They were far.
That's
That's his statement.
That's
his statement. I'm saying matchups.
They weren't far. They lost. They won one game.
Bro, Zach, was you watching the game? They were up
Yes, it's
in
like
3.
yes.
Hold on, time out. In 3 of those games, they were up by double figures. Okay, so my thing is, we know that Denver was not the matchup for the Lakers.
Right. Right.
outside of the Nuggets, they could beat anybody else.
But the fact of the matter is, when you look at their roster right now, it looks almost identical to the roster that they had at the end of last season. And we keep talking about, okay, LeBron James taking a pay cut. What actual pay cut are we talking about that would make it so that they upgrade to the point of not being a 7 seed in the West that has to claw through a conference that, by the way, probably has 13 teams that are seriously playoff contenders here?
It just depends on who it is. Like when Dave's story came out yesterday and said that he was going to take a pay cut for Jonas Valanciunas, as accurate as it might have been, I almost passed out. I just, with all due respect to Jonas Valanciunas, I don't see LeBron James leaving a lot of money on the table for, a middle of the pack center. But for Klay Thompson, that's a different story. But to get there, I'm telling you, there's another deal they got to do. The Lakers, to pull off what LeBron is offering here, the Lakers need to make a series of moves, and they need to hit them all on time and on target. And I just think that's got to be recognized, that we're talking about the Lakers here with Klay Thompson. We should be talking about the Mavericks. We should be talking about other options.
When we're talking about on time, on target, and moves that need to be made, it seems like we need to bring in Mr. Money Moves himself, Bobby Marks, our front office insider, to map all of these things out. So, Bobby, what can the Lakers actually do here in free agency?
Well, the magic number right now is $178 million. That's the first apron. Came down $700,000. All the money matters here. Lakers are at $140 million. That includes that Max Christie new number here. Here's the pay cut you guys are looking at. He's set to make $25 million. He would have to take a $25 million haircut in order to get Klay Thompson. This is not with a trade or anything. This is just straight out. Thompson's number's right around 12.5. And you get there, that's that 177. It's about $1 million. That hard caps him. That leaves him little flexibility. So when Brian was talking about trades, you're certainly looking at D'Angelo Russell. You're certainly looking at Gabe Vincent. If you're Rob Pelinka, you're calling Detroit. You're calling Charlotte. Teams that have cap space to try to offset that Russell money here. Certainly sign and trade with Golden State would help also with Klay. But the Lakers have work to do here, and if they want LeBron James to take a $25 million pay cut, they're going to have to offset some salary.
Okay, Bobby, thank you so very much. I want to bring in two people who certainly have a unique perspective on all of this, our Ramona Shelburne and Dave McMenamin, who both cover the Los Angeles Lakers for us. Ramona, starting with you, what is the Lakers' strategy here?
Well, look, Klay Thompson was born to be a Laker. Literally, his father, Michael Thompson, was playing for the Lakers and is on the Laker broadcast team. But I think with the Lakers, and Brian was mentioning this earlier, they're behind because Dallas has already done the work. They've done that Tim Hardaway trade. And if you're Golden State right now, you want to try to get something back for Klay Thompson. And this incentivizes Klay to do a sign and trade because he can get more than that mid-level exception. Dallas has a $16 million trade exception already because of the trade that they did for Tim Hardaway. That's more than 13. That's easy math, right? Perk, you can do that? 16 more than 13.
Wow.
Okay.
Shots fired.
I got you. Okay.
I know numbers.
Millions.
But right now, Dallas is ahead. And so if you're the Lakers, you have to try to do some work here. It can be, you have to do something to get something back for Golden State or to get more money for Klay. So it's not just about, you mentioned a haircut, $50 million to 25. That's not a haircut. That's just going bald. I mean, that's shaving everything off.
Theo hướng dẫn cách làm một chiếc phong bao đơn giản giống như thế này nhé. Các bạn bắt tay vào làm cùng tôi nha. Mình áp vào. Rồi, mình sẽ được cái phong bao rất là xinh như thế này. Mọi người sẽ mở nó ra này, mọi người cho tiền lì xì vào đây này, cho thư hoặc là cho thiệp vào trong này nhé. Là mọi người sẽ áp xuống, dán niêm phong lại. Rồi cái phần mặt trước này thì mình sẽ tiến hành mình trang trí. Mình sẽ sử dụng cái phần bìa màu này nhé để mình trang trí này, mình đã chuẩn bị từ ban đầu nhé. Hai màu sắc là vàng và xanh. Bây giờ mình sẽ tạo cái phần trang trí. Mình sử dụng cái compa này. Mình đo lên đây. Rồi mình biết được cái kích thước rồi. Bây giờ mình sẽ vẽ trên cái tấm màu vàng này nhá mọi người. Mình vẽ cái hình tròn trên tấm màu vàng. Rồi. Mình sẽ thu hẹp khẩu độ compa lại, mình vẽ hình tròn khác nhỏ hơn ở bên trong. Mình vẽ một hình tròn nhỏ hơn. Xong rồi. Bây giờ thì mình sẽ dùng thước mình sẽ chia nó ra thành những phần bằng nhau nhé. Mọi người có thể chia làm 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 tùy ý. Nói chung là thích chia bao nhiêu phần thì mọi người chia cho mình. Đây mình chia nhỏ nó ra. Mình sẽ chia nó làm 8 phần bằng nhau nhé. Tiếp tục chia này. Cứ làm lần lượt cho đến hết. Rồi mình chia được làm 8 phần rồi. Bây giờ mình sẽ tiến hành mình cắt nó ra. Mình đặt hai cái tấm này chồng lên nhau nhé mọi người. Đặt chồng lên. Và bây giờ mình sẽ cắt nhỏ nó lại. Bỏ phần dư đi nhé. Và bây giờ mình sẽ cắt nó ra theo cái đường mình đã vẽ. Đây mình đặt kéo vào. Và mình sẽ tiến hành mình cắt. Đầu tiên thì mình sẽ cắt những cái đường thẳng theo những cái trục mình đã vẽ này. Cắt lần lượt từng đường một. Cắt lần lượt cho đến hết. Tiếp tục cắt ra. Rồi, sau đó mình sẽ cắt những cái đường xéo như thế này. Mình cắt những đường xéo. Cứ cắt lần lượt từng đường một nhé. Tiếp tục cắt ra. Rồi mình tiếp tục mình cắt nhé. Cứ làm lần lượt cho đến hết. Mọi người nhớ là những cái đường xéo này mọi người sẽ phải cắt cùng chiều cho mình nhé. Mình nếu mà cắt những cái chiều khác nhau ấy thì cái hình nó sẽ bị lộn xộn. Đấy, nó rất là xấu. Và nó sẽ không thành ra cái hình dáng cả. Nên là mọi người sẽ phải cắt tất cả cùng chiều cho mình. Rồi mình sẽ bỏ những phần dư đi. Mình sẽ được cái hình rất là xinh như thế này. Hai hình giống nhau nhé. Hai hình giống nhau. Bây giờ mình sẽ dán vào để mình trang trí. Mình dán hai hình này chồng lên nhau. Mình bôi một chút keo vào nhé. Mình dán chồng lên này. Dán chồng lên và sẽ dán nó so le nhau một chút. So le nhau. Đấy. Thì nó sẽ có cái độ chuyển màu rất là đẹp như thế này. Bây giờ mình sẽ áp nó vào. Mình dán nó vào trong cái phong bao của mình. Mình áp vào chính giữa nhé. Mình ấn xuống cho dính thật là chắc. Đây mình áp xuống. Rồi, mình sẽ giật hết những phần keo dư dính trên này đi. Sau đó mình sẽ dùng đến bút màu. Bây giờ mình sẽ vẽ, mình tạo các cái đường trang trí. Mình sẽ vẽ, mình tạo các đường trang trí này. Mình vẽ những cái đường xoáy nhé, đường xoáy. Mình vẽ lần lượt từng đường một. Tiếp tục vẽ vào đây. Cứ làm lần lượt cho đến hết. Tiếp tục. Rồi. Mình được cái đường xoáy rất là đẹp rồi. Có lẽ là mình sẽ dừng ở đây thôi. Và đây là thành phẩm sau khi làm xong mình được cái phong bao rất là xinh như vậy nhé. Các bạn tham khảo cách làm của mình để có thể tạo ra được những cái phong bao giống vậy nha. Chúc các bạn thành công.